Vernon representing Happy Meals today, bringing you health, happiness, and everything in between. 8:45 Eastern, 7:45 Central. Today we are breaking down. We are going to continue our conversation on looking at life from a different way. Why? It's not that life is bad. I want to make sure I state this every time I mention this in some way, shape, or form. It's about how we interpret it, how we respond to it, what we do with it, how we technically receive it. When I say technically, I'm saying here, not here, because those emotions will lie to you. They will mislead you. They will tell you things that are not true, and you will 100% start believing it, especially without some sort of external conversation, is what the story is going to be about today. Every day I'm bringing you a brand new story, especially this week. Because it's good to have information and it's great to have these perspectives, but stories make things stick. I talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to be continuously talk about this for the rest of the year. Things stick when you can put it in proper context. And I think the best context is going to be yourself or people that you work with directly. And I've had the pleasure of working with so many different people over the years that I got so many stories. But, let me just bring this, full center stage, full circle. When we start evolving in life, when we start moving forward in life, when you are just living life, minding your own GD business, right? Sometimes you're going to get hit with these unexpected moments. Sometimes you're going to be in a place where you're going to be frustrated, bothered. You could be restless. You could be just more anxious. You can have anxiety to varying degrees. You can have this a sense that things can be off. And the thing about this is it's slow and insidious. So when you're having those moments like that, or that time period like that, it can get a little fuzzy. When it starts robbing you of your energy, what can start happening is we can get a little bit out of character. You ever snapped at somebody before and said, ah, blah, blah, blah. They could just ask you something very simple. And you just kind of go on this whole monologue, or more of a tirade than a monologue with some people. And you're just like, man, I wish I hadn't said that. It's you responding to life. It's not you. I'm not trying to say it gives you an excuse. I'm just kind of giving an example, a different perspective. So you have to be really mindful here about how life can catch you on the blind side. Life will sometimes, for a time, it can go exactly the way that you want it. And I think one of the best things that gets people is it goes the exact way that you want it to. And most people do not know what they're asking for, right? Even with the Powerball being like $1.9 billion, I'm never knocking that sort of windfall or that sort of just reward. But you have to remember, everything comes with a price. Sure, we get taxes, but you have to recognize that when you ask for some things, you have to look at it full circle, not just half. Some one of oftentimes it tends to be a bit tougher when people are sitting back and clients are coming to me and saying, I got this, I got this problem, I got this going on. And, I take everything and we put it back together the way that you want. And we take out most of the stuff that you don't need whenever we work together, because most stuff you don't need. You don't. You think you do, but you don't. I always kind of say it's like the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks, where you're on the island and you're ready to go and you got all these things. Well, the only way you can get to that island or off that island and get to a better location is you got to let most of that stuff go. Some of that's your stuff. Some of that's not your stuff. Some of that stuff you just picked up or you decided that you need it. But most things you don't need. And that's a whole nother conversation. But however, that part of it is a whole nother conversation. But I'm using that segment to kind of show you that, as you start getting what you want, it's important to remind yourself what you're after. Because it comes with the full price of it, no matter what it is. And I know this very, very, very well. I was raised in Richmond, Virginia. I haven't lived there in quite some time now, as some of you all might know. But in Richmond, Virginia, there's this road. There's this road that goes back long, long ago. And you cannot see the flipping stoplight in Richmond. You cannot see the stoplight. There's a line here, and when you get to that line, the stoplight is back here. That road is called Robius Road. If any of my Richmond people know what I'm talking about, Robius Road can be a mofo. You always have to stop a little bit before. So I'm riding around in my car. I got my little dude with me, and he was a little kid. He's probably 3 at the time, and he's 7 now, soon to be 8. And we're in the car, and we're late, and I'm getting ready to go to church. And I have this thing about time. I cannot stand being late. Late drives me up a flipping wall. And so we're already running behind. And so here I am driving my car, on my car. I'm sitting back there with my son, nice and healthy. And, we were dressed up to the nines. We're getting ready to go to church. You know how we do. You know how we do. I always want to make sure that I look good, smell good, feel good. Like, what's his name? James Brown used to say, I look good, I smell good, I feel good. So we're looking fly, running a little bit behind. And so we're coming up on Robius Road. And I think I'm smooth, right? I stopped right before the line. Think I'm smooth, right on Robius Road. Shout out to Richmond, Robius Road. And then we're like 10 minutes away and we're like 10 minutes behind. I'm like, okay, I can make this happen. And on Robius Road, when not only do you have to worry about that stoplight, but you also have to worry about the crossbuck, the railroad, that train going by. And this train is never ending. So I pull up and then all of a sudden I hear ding, 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 ding. The crossbuck stops dropping. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It's summer and the crossbuck is just dropping ding, 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 ding. And I'm running behind. I'm annoyed. So I'm sitting there. It's summer. It's Indian summer in Richmond. Richmond summers are no fudging joke. My son's back there on his iPad, and he's also starting to play the daddy game. And he's like, oh, let's roll the windows down. So I roll the windows down. Ride with me here. The story's going someplace. So I'm annoyed. And you know what happens when we start getting annoyed? You know what happens when we're behind? Everyone knows what I'm talking about, that anxious feeling. Come on, I got to get there. Come on, I want to be on time. Come on, come on, come on. So I'm sitting in the car, got the windows down, and I got a car right beside me. And next to the car, there's some person, some demon person playing. It sounded like Candy Crush at like max level 1000. My eardrum was ready to explode. Ready to go nuts. I turn my radio up. Hot. Ding, 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 ding. I'm looking down the street. The train is way down there, not getting any closer. All I see is the white light. And then my son decides to press pause and starts playing the daddy game. And if anybody has kids, anybody has experience of kids, you know what the daddy game sounds like. It goes just like this. Daddy, 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 daddy. And he's just doing that. I'm hot. So now I'm even more annoyed because I'm late. The crossbuck's going. I got to turn the music up because I don't want to sit back and hear this lady sitting right next to me. I'm calling her demon, not because she's a woman. I'm calling her demon because who in their mother-loving life sits there and plays a game that loud at a stoplight? And she's bloop, 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 bloop. And they're just going nuts. My son's doing the daddy game. And so I am furious now. I'm gripping the wheel and I'm doing everything I talk about, you doing the things that I talk about with you all. I'm looking at the positive. I'm focusing on a song that I want to play with. But that was not happening. And so I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, be calm, daddy, 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 ding, 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 bloop, 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 hot, running behind. And at that moment, I was like, I'm about to lose it. I'm really about to lose it. What I wanted to do was just start roundhousing everybody, not literally, but you get what I'm getting at. I was frustrated. I was out of character. I was annoyed. I was behind. I love him so much, but I was annoyed with him. And you know our kids, we love them, but they can get to us. And this is going on, and it seemed like an eternity. That GD train, it didn't move. The light just got brighter. I swear to you, but it was not getting any closer. And so now I'm like 9 minutes behind. I'm like, what's going on with the train? And I was about to flip. And then my son's like, and I'm sitting there driving, like, and picture this. I'm sitting there, well, not driving, I'm waiting. My son's sitting there, and he's like, Daddy. And I'm like, yes. Feeling all deranged. And as he's doing that, I'm like, oh my God, what is he about to do? What's he about to say? Ding, 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 blip, blip, blip. And he says, we're lucky. And I sat there, right? And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, about to have a breakdown. And then all of a sudden, I felt it. I completely felt the peace. I felt the calm and I felt the situation. The way that I grew up, my son has no idea about, but in his 2-3-year-old wisdom, he woke me up. I never dreamed I could own my own car when I was younger. I didn't think that was possible. I never thought I could have a good credit score. These are the truths for honest conversations. I never thought that I would have a healthy child. I was told that I would never be able to produce these things because the way that I grew up, I would more than likely be in prison and hurt people. All this silly nonsense that I was always told. I would never told that I would ever be a person who had boundary, of solid character, who had goals, who had ambitions. These are the things that were told to me, whether directly or indirectly. And here I am living that, frustrated, annoyed, and worried about being late to something that I was going to be early to be really honest with myself. I got my beautiful, lovely, amazing gingerbread sitting back there, and I'm like, what the French toast am I mad about right now? What am I annoyed with? These are the things that I wanted in my life. These are the things that I worked for. And once he said that, it was amazing how when sometimes you voice the external things that we can forget about. Sometimes we voice just that, hey, I'm really glad that we're on that path. And in this case, we're lucky. That woke me up and freed me up. You see, sometimes we're in life, we can't quite figure out what's happening, what's wrong. And this doesn't apply to anybody, everybody, but for anybody who's on a path to do better, to be better, sometimes the things that you are experiencing are par for the course. Just because you're in pursuit of something or just because you get something doesn't mean you won't be frustrated, doesn't mean you won't be behind. But it is up to you to sit back and appreciate the positive of that. I got to church. That effing train finally came, but things look so different. All I had to do was roll the window up. All I had to do was cut the AC on. All I had to do was ask my son to play another game. All I had to do was do this and reframe, do what he just did, gave me that gift, and just reframing what I'm going through. For anybody, for any person right now, where this makes sense, I'm not one of those people who thinks because I tell you to drink water from a sippy cup, this is going to make your life better. But what I'm saying, if this does apply to you, and you might need to sit back and account, you know, and what I'm experiencing, updating my resume. Remember what I'm experiencing, going to therapy for a group, for my relationship, going to therapy for myself, working on myself so I can ask for a pay increase, putting all the effort and energy to developing a new idea for my business. If I'm working on just being a better overall person, some things are going to be par for the course, and this is who you become. This is how you become that person that you have wanted to be. But you will miss your blessing getting caught up so many times into how you're feeling, when sometimes you just need to sit back and feel that you are in pursuit versus feeling frustrated. But it sometimes, and in many cases, it takes an external voice. Sometimes it takes even your voice to saying, man, I worked really hard for this. Man, I'm so happy to get after this. Because it can be taken away just like that. No, I'm not saying in a morbid sense, but it could be. That's for life. But if you don't appreciate what you have, you will not have it very long, because you will squander it away. You will second guess it. You will not even invest the time, energy, and effort into it. You won't, because you'll think it's nothing because you're frustrated. Don't lose what you have and what you're working for because you're having a momentary moment in pursuing what you want. The amount of people that I had talked to, and when I say amount of people, I'm more so talking about how I had to use kind of reframing things to say, is this not what you wanted? Is this par for the course? What did you expect this to look like when you were achieving, when you wanted to achieve, when you wanted things to be better? Some of this stuff is par for the course for some of you all. For myself, I can say it woke me up. And I'm hoping that you can take this message and it wakes you up too, to the amount of options and opportunities and possibilities and solution. I call that oops thinking, that are right there in front of you, but you will miss it if you don't sit back sometimes and say, what is really going on here? This is what I wanted in some way, shape, or form. If you got any questions, drop me a message, send me a comment, email me at burning@whatsyou'rehappy. I am happy to sit out and spend some time talking to you all. Schedule a discovery session. Get on the schedule. It's free. Only thing you need to do is just bring 100% your true self. Everything's confidential. If you're stuck and struggling, that's an option, because you can only have a blind spot one time. Every time after that is a decision that you are making consciously or unconsciously. I'm going to see you all tomorrow. I'm going to always try to help you be happy, be positive, and focus on what you want versus what's happening sometimes. That's all I got. Go out there, go get it, go crush it. And I'm going to see you all tomorrow, 7:45 Central, 8:45 Eastern.